I thought it'd be a good time to do an update on the progress of the chili plants that we've got. And I want to focus on this particular pot, which contains 3 chili plants. It's actually got 2 black calamarices, just the name for the type of chili that we've got here. And it's got these beautiful little purple flowers. And the other chili that's in this pot is Prairie Fire, and we've got one large example there. And you'll notice that I've left behind a number of chilies for the purpose of ripening. Now I want this particular Prairie Fire and this black chili to ripen, and the idea is that I want to keep back these 2 pods and collect the seeds for next year's sowing. And now it's important that if you've got a chili plant that you like and you like the taste of the fruit, then try and keep back the seeds for future years. It's basically a simple process of selective breeding, if you like, keeping back the best quality pods. And you'll notice that whilst there aren't many chili pods left on this plant, there is a resurgence. There are a number of flowers that are forming now, and we're in the early stages of August. And with appropriate feeding and appropriate watering, and the reason why I say that is chili plants are a particular plant that although you need to water it from time to time, don't let them sit in the water, it will damage it. So I'm going to remove some of these pods. You can see they're a beautiful vibrant red, but these aren't for eating, these are for keeping back the seeds. And if you want to see how I do that, I'll put a link at the bottom, and I'll try and put a clip at the end of this particular upload to show you how we keep seeds and use them for future years. And about a week later, I wanted to show you the progress. Now, I think this second flush of growth that we're getting from the calamaris is due to the harvesting of the first batch and an additional regular feeding with a balanced tomato feed and some Epsom salts. Now, if you look closely, you can see new green growth developing nicely on the branches, and what's particularly nice to see is that those flowers that I showed you, which you'll have seen in the clip a moment ago, have started to form nicely. And in fact, we believe that there are more chilies on this plant now in this second phase of chili production in the same season than there was in the first batch. This is one of the chilies that's remaining alongside this one here from the first phase of growth of this season. But what's particularly caught my attention is the new growth that started to develop. So those of you who are growing chilies in pots, keep that in mind. It's worthwhile harvesting if you get to around July, August. It's worthwhile taking that extra bit of care with your chili plants, because you might get another batch of chili production in the same season. And I think it's a good time to have a look at this plant that I'd topped. Now what I mean by topping is that when the flowers haven't quite formed yet, but the plant has grown a little bit, I tried the technique of pinching the top of the plant off, or you can cut it off. And the idea is that by doing that, you're going to naturally set the plant back a couple of months, but it should, in theory, bush out a bit more. Now, I've said in previous episodes that I don't tend to do this much, but I thought I'd try it with this tiny bird's eye plant that I've got. And it does have really tiny flowers, which are now starting to form. And obviously, we've been eating prairie fire chilies for over a month now. And this particular plant has just started to form flowers. So it's one of those things where you're going to be a bit more patient with this particular plant because you've set it back, but hopefully in the end it should give you a larger crop. Well, that's the idea anyway. So from what I can see now, it does look like it's successful, but the real proof of whether or not this has been a useful activity is the amount of chilies that we'll get from it. But from what I can see, if you're prepared to wait a bit longer, then have a go at topping. And the chili plant that I topped a couple of months ago, the one that I referred to as being a small chili, a tiny bird's eye type, that looks a bit like what I remember eating on my travels to Bangladesh, danu morich, or almost rice chili type chili, but that's now developing pods. If you look over here, you can see a nice chili pod forming, and there's one or two others. At this stage they're green and camouflaging against the foliage, but that's an experiment that's worked as well. So I've never myself topped chili plants before, but there you go, a wide set of branches that have developed from the trunk as a result of pinching out the middle part. Like I said, we've been eating chilies from early summer right through until now on the other plants, but this one has started to develop seed pods now. So that's about extending the season, and hopefully, if the weather stays favourable and we get what we call an Indian summer, then we might be able to harvest a large number of chilies from this particular danu morich or rice chili plant that we've got in front of us. Pleased with that.